We have all a right to human development on the one hand, and that requires being able to move people and goods efficiently and effectively. We need movement of people and goods for human development, but that has an environmental impact, a big environmental impact. And we also have a right to a safe, secure and healthy environment. So how do we reconcile these two conflicting issues? I would envisage this being developed over a period of 10, 15 years, but what I see is we could move, starting with the cities and then moving to intra-city transport, to a system where we could have channels, surface channels and immediately below surface channels, where we would have pods operating, transport pods for people and for goods, that could operate electrically and powered by solar power, which would be generated on the channels themselves, on the roads themselves, so that we have a self-sustained, self-powered transport system, completely flexible, and which would be based on vehicles or pods on command. In other words, we wouldn't have privately owned vehicles as we have today. We would have pods. You order it, you call for it on your telephone or your cell phone, comes pick you up, takes you from A to B, A to Z, all the way. It can also act as a feed link into mass transit systems like trains and underground subways and of course air transport, etc. But it would also be a mode of transport in its own right. And of course, if you're talking about immediately below surface channels, vehicles operating in these below surface channels would operate at very high speeds. So we could get, say, from home to the office in 5-10 minutes, as opposed to the 45-60 minutes that it takes us now with traffic jams and congestion. So I think that we could develop a system whereby this combination of operating on the surface and immediately below the surface, linking it with mass transit systems and operating on channels that are powered electrically by solar power would be the best way forward to make attain the goal of fast and efficient movement of people and goods, while at the same time ensuring that there is no environmental or virtually no negative environmental impact on this by this transit system in terms of climate change, in terms of emissions, and in terms also, of course, of safety and security of people, because accidents would be avoided, would be virtually eliminated, pollution would be virtually eliminated, and therefore we would end up with cities that could be almost congestion-free, where green spaces could be expanded, where all the parking areas could be converted into recreational areas and green spaces, and make city living much, much more livable and agreeable to all of us. So this is the way I see things developing over the future. We all need to work for a living. And that is our economic security. We work for a living, we earn salaries, and we live from those salaries. But the problem is, on the one hand, that there is a large number of people who are unemployed, and unfortunately in this environment today, this is a big issue. People without a job, without any economic security, on the one hand. And on the other hand, you also have a situation where many of us work in stressful jobs and jobs that we don't really want to do, but we have to do them because we have no choice. And if one can envisage an environment, a situation whereby this whole model would be changed completely, so that, for example, we would all have a minimum guaranteed income that would allow for a decent living, that would cover our basic needs, whether we were working or whether we were not working. Everybody in a country would have a right to this minimum income, and that over and beyond that, of course, by working, we could have additional income. We would earn additional income, but we wouldn't that way be constrained in our search for jobs. We could all look for the types of jobs that we really like. If I can live off my basic income, guaranteed income, then I can look for jobs where I can really feel that I'm going to make a contribution, that I'm going to do something, that I'm going to realize my potential and realize my dreams, because I will be working in productive areas where, without worrying whether it's art, whether it's science, whether it's technology, whether it's education, whatever it may be, I will work where I really want to work because I don't need to work to meet my basic requirements. So that's one issue. And I think that this would make for a much more secure economically and a happy environment and a more productive economy, because we would be doing the jobs that we really wanted to do and we would be happy working at. And we would create more value, create more wealth across society by operating this way. That's one idea. You wouldn't have to meet your basic requirements. I'm talking about everybody in society. I'm not only talking about people who are unemployed. I'm talking about everybody getting a guaranteed income. And over and beyond that, you would be able to work and generate more income by doing other the job that you really would aim for. That would all apply to the guaranteed. Every citizen would have the right to a guaranteed income. But there's another issue, which is the environmental impact. We may have the right to a job and guaranteed income, and we a right to earn what we need to live well, but we don't have the right to pollute and destroy the environment. So I think that in addition to what we earn, we have a scorecard, an environmental scorecard that we must not exceed. And that one day in the future, we will have a system whereby, as I'm buying things, whether it's a house or whether it's a meal, there will be an environmental scorecard which technology will allow us to keep for ourselves and for society, which would say, I'm only allowed to go up to a certain level of environmental impact. Whatever I do in my life, I can only go as far as an environmental impact. And even if I'm a multimillionaire, I cannot spend an impact on the environment beyond that threshold. And so, by monitoring my consumption as an individual, up to that threshold, I will be able to use my resources in a way that don't have an environmental impact or have a minimal environmental impact, and society will benefit from that because excesses of all kinds will be controlled and eventually eliminated.